You Trip, what's up, brother?
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. Hope everyone is having a wonderful evening.
This is a Captain Nick flight.
Appreciate you guys so much,
Trip,
bro. We got
what's
Brian
up?
in the chat. Good to see you, Brian. We got Benjamin. How you doing, man? We got Mr. Master 11 in the chat. Hope you're having a wonderful evening, guys. Yes, sir, Brian. Captain Nick will be on in just a few minutes. I think 7:15 he'll be on. If you guys have any questions for him, feel free to ask. Let's go and start this beautiful flight from the beautiful Burbank. To Burbank. But yeah, man, I chose this flight actually this afternoon.
I can't believe I'm flying the MD-11 with Southwest livery.
Good to see you, Master 11. Good to see you, Gerald Jones.
Good evening, everyone. Smiling face.
That's funny, man. You're flying the MD-11 the Southwest livery. I love it, man. Brian, how was the weekend, man? Good to see you, bro. Brian, what you guys have for dinner? Let me know what everyone else have for dinner, man. Much love to everyone. There we go. V1, rotate. Oh my goodness. Up on the way. We are flying the wind out of, oh my goodness, Oakland right now. It's very, very crazy. Wow, beautiful scenery here. What's up, Benny?
Gerald
Good to
Jones,
see you.
man.
Much love. Beautiful scenery here. Gorgeous water view, I must say. Let's go and put up our flaps. Flaps are up. Nice. Man, much love to everyone once again. Gerald Jones, what you did this weekend, man? Benjamin Henderson, always good to see you. Much love. Right now, we are just headed over to the beautiful Burbank. Haven't did this route in a long time, actually. Looking forward to seeing it. No, that was you, Benjamin? Oh, Benny Henny? That's you. Shout out to you, man.
Do you see me behind you? Trip, I posted some pics of the Southwest MD-11
in the
Discord.
Alright, let me check it out.
Lol. Busy weekend, man. Not so much yesterday, but today was pretty busy.
Got you, Brian. What's up, Brianna? Good to see you, man. So Brian said a busy weekend, man. Not so much yesterday, but today was pretty busy. Got you, man. Got you. Brian, how's the weather over there in Tampa, man? Because over here in South Florida, it's very, very hot still, man. It's been insanely hot. I don't know what's going on. I'm really, really hoping that it cools down sometime, but it's already summer, so almost summer, so pretty sure it's not going to cool down anytime soon. But yeah, Brianna, good to see you. Hope you had a wonderful evening. Thank you so much for hopping on.
I started a long flight from Hawaii to LA.
Oh, Hawaii to LA. Nice. What plane did you use? On what livery? Sounds good. Once again, hoping everyone have the wonderful evening. I'm going to switch on TikTok real quick. Perfect. There we go. Oh, man, appreciate you guys once again for hopping on. Let me see if we can call Mr. Oh, that's funny. As soon as I was about to call Nick, the phone started ringing. All right, let's go. Hello, Captain Nick.
What's up, man?
I'm doing great, man. We haven't heard from you in a long time, man. I'm seeing you doing an amazing job in the Discord. How's everything, man? How's everything? What's the update? Good to hear from you.
It's good to hear from you too, man. How's
hot and miserable here with no rain
now?
inside to cool things off.
Sorry, 1 second. Let me switch off this text. So I have this new thing now where it texts to you. Basically, it reads out the chat so everyone can hear the chat. So there we go.
Cool.
All right. So sorry. What did you say again?
Oh, I said you got what, 24 days left?
Yes, sir. 24. 24 more days.
Start like one of those chain ring countdowns.
Oh yeah, we have a whiteboard and we literally tick off a day every single day. So we're super excited. We all
awesome.
pretty, yes sir. But yeah, man, how's your wife doing, man?
She's doing good. She's
awesome.
She's sitting here close to me.
Awesome.
She's waving hi.
Awesome. Just say hi for us, man. Much love. Let me see. Brian said right now it's hot and miserable here in Tampa with no rain in sight. Yeah, man. Same here in South Florida. It's very, very hot. I don't know, man. Hopefully this hurricane season is not that bad. How's the weather over there, Captain Nick?
Denver's awesome, man.
Really?
It's, last 2 days have been cool and kind of an overcast, which is kind of rare for Colorado.
Wow. You can send some of that our way. That sounds pretty good. Sounds pretty good.
I know, man. But being from the Pacific Northwest, this feels very home.
Nice. But yeah, man, so if you guys have any questions for Captain Nick, let us know. But for me personally, I have some questions here written down, ready to ask Captain Nick. We haven't spoken in a while. A lot has happened in the aviation world recently. Most recent, everyone we were talking about, even last stream, about the recent Newark incident. Basically, the ATC went out for 90 seconds. That's very dangerous, and it happened like 3 times over the last 3-4 weeks. So it's very dangerous. Some people are scared of flying even to Newark. We make jokes about it here on stream, man. But that's crazy. as soon as I asked the question, Brian literally just asked the same question. He said, thoughts on the blackouts that keep happening in Newark. Yeah. So
what's crazy is I used to fly into Newark all the time, and I'm scared to fly into Newark. So that's fair. I mean, not
really,
not scared like dangerous. Scared as in it's just a disaster. Like that place is just a mess. It always has been. It's so like it is such a congested area because you got to think in the Northeast. Like most people, when they think of Northeast, they're kind of like, okay, well, it's New York. But you're like, dude, you have, LaGuardia, Newark, JFK, Peterborough, Boston, Philly. Like, it's not just like that's all under Philly Tracon. And so you have one like site, if you will, that's trying to run the busiest air sector in the world under one little Tracon. And so unfortunately, I mean, it's stressed as far as older technology. It's stressed as in, the staffing is down like 50%. So, yeah, I mean, that whole area is just kind of, luckily we as in pilots and ATC, we do have better stuff now that we can kind of handle these situations better. So we do have things called lost comm procedures. So like if this happens, we do have stuff to combat that. And now that we have like ACARs, I can actually like text my dispatcher and just be like, hey, here's what just happened. And actually I can talk to him over a satellite as well. So we have like satellite calling. And so I could physically, like I had to do it a couple weeks ago when I was flying, where we had to call them. We were like, hey, dude, we're running tight on fuel. We need to divert. And we just talk to them just like it's a cell phone call. So we do have ways to combat this better than, if this would have been 20 years ago. This could have been just, disastrous. Yeah. But yeah.
Definitely. Well, welcome to the stream, everyone. Shout out to Gavin. Thank you so much for hopping in. What's up, Lucky? Welcome to the stream. Antonio, the future pilot, man. Congratulations on your graduation soon. He's about to start college and is pursuing his career to be a pilot. Much, much love to you, Antonio. But yeah, great points there, Captain Nick. And also, you mentioned the short staff. I saw an article I was about to report on also. It talks about shifting to remote ATC control. I think that the government said they're not going to do that, but there's some other countries that actually promote remote ATC control. People from home operating ATC and not in the tower, because that helped with shortage of people, like an amount of people being in the tower itself. You can actually have more workers designated for specific planes than one person on like multiple flights. So what is your take on that? Do you agree, or what do you think about that?
I mean, man, I'm a pretty big proponent for working at home. I don't know how it would work as far as the technology. Like you would have to install crazy technology into each individual's house. So I don't know if it's feasible. But if they could get like a remote link on their computer, then maybe. I just don't know how that works because, like, God forbid your Wi-Fi goes down right now and all of a sudden you're responsible for a few thousand lives at a time. I don't know how well that works, but I love remote work. I mean,
100%.
Remote work is a great option.
Yeah, 100%, man. That would be insane. That's a very, very good aspect. You have to like supply you with like great equipment to work from home, and if you're going to be controlling ATC planes from your home, that would be very, very interesting.
I'll tell you something crazy that I just found out. My last time going to, Dallas is where Southwest, where we do all of our training, and every year we walk through what's called the NOC. It's just an operations center. I didn't realize we actually have a secondary location for Southwest that the entire thing can run. So like everything we do at Southwest as far as our operations center. So like, God forbid there was a, catastrophic communications failure or something. We literally have a second, like a bunker location that everything is up and running on a secondary system that's totally excluded so that we never lose. Like we are literally always on the fly, ready to go. It's extremely impressive. So like, I'd love to see something like that with ATC, because it's crucial, man. That's a big deal.
That's a very big deal indeed. A very, very big deal. So that's interesting. Very interesting. The next question would be, so how do pilots react to unexpected air traffic? Okay, we basically already spoke about that, the outages and everything. Basically, let me see. What are the biggest challenges pilots face when dealing with unexpected technical failures, such as the Alaskan Airlines door blowout? For instance, there was a blowout the other day. Probably they're talking about from 2 years ago. But in that situation, if you're the pilot of that plane, what would you do? You get word from the flight attendants that there's a door that's gone, and it just lift off, V1 rotate, and you're ready to get to your destination. What would you do in that situation?
So that's an easy one. I mean, if we're that low, then we just stay low. I mean, the air is breathable, so we stay low. You do what you can to like keep everyone calm, but I mean, I'm just gonna stay. We call it the pattern. Like, I'm just gonna stay in the pattern. I'm just gonna stay low, come back around, declare the emergency, and then come back in and land. It's, you know, you can have we call it rolling the trucks. Like, you can have emergency services waiting and ready for you by the time you land. They scramble within minutes. But like, now if I'm at like 35,000 feet and a door blows off for some reason, I'm going to know before the flight attendants know, because we're going to get a rapid depressurization. Oxygen masks are coming out. Like, we're doing it's called like we call it the high dive. And so we put on our oxygen mask because you only have like seconds of useful consciousness. And then we're going to do an emergency descent down to breathable oxygen. Like, we're going to go down to like 10,000 feet. And then at that point, everyone's able to breathe on their own. But yeah, we're low. We're V1 rotate. No problem. That's nice. It's like a non-issue at that point.
Oh, okay, awesome. Good answer. And Tony said we should invest in better technology, especially when it comes to ATC. Can't believe they're running old tech. So basically, have you heard of Starlink? So Starlink is in the run.
Well, so I was just about to say, actually, Starlink's probably our best option, and you know, multiple companies are starting to switch to them. And I know it's, you know, like, without getting political, obviously, but like it is legitimately, just tech aside, don't look at politics. Tech aside, it would be arguably the best source for us, because it just, I mean, it's like, you know, we don't care about line of sight anymore. We don't care about, like, there's no radial fall off. Like, it just works. And every flight that I do, because, you know, I do a lot of nighttime flying, every flight that I do, boom, there's more Starlink getting launched off, and like, there's another Starlink trail. You know, SpaceX, there's another shuttle launch. Like, it's just becoming more prevalent. And so, yeah, I'm a big proponent for it, actually.
Nice. Yeah, I actually looked into it, actually. So the regular person can actually get it from Walmart for $300, and you pay a monthly payment of like $100 a month. Because I've watched this person on live. He actually sailed from, I don't know if you guys heard of him, but from California to Hawaii. And he's
just got there.
There we go. Yep, Phoenix. I think his name is Sailing Phoenix or something. But yeah, he used Starlink, and he's using the version where you have to, I think it's $150 a month, but you get internet anywhere on the ocean. So Starlink is really good.
Yeah, did you see them dropping packages to him yesterday?
Yes, that was the craziest thing ever, man. So explain that. So basically, guys, we're talking about Sailing Phoenix, this guy that sailed all the way from California over to, no, is it Oakland? Portland? Yeah, he's from over there.
Yeah, he went from Portland, Oregon.
Yeah, so over to Hawaii. And in the middle of the ocean, he got a care package. Someone in probably a Cessna, I think it was, dropped a package to him with snacks. How does that work? Do you need clearance from the FAA, anybody, or just because you're far out, they don't really care? You can fly that low and drop things.
We have a lot of different airspace rules, and once you get out that far over the ocean, it's just kind of like fair game.
Yeah, so, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, but I'm sure it was cleared, you know, ahead of time, like, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. But yeah, as far as like
that
airspace is, like, you know, I used to take students out. We would go over non-populated areas when you can fly down kind of as low as it's safe to do so.
Nice. Awesome. Shout out to Nate. Good to see you, man. Welcome to the stream. We got Lucky. Ruby, hope you're having a good evening. AJ, hope you're having a good evening. Right now, I'm on the phone with the awesome pilot, Nick. He's telling us about some aviation incidents that happened recently, sharing his light on it. If you guys have any questions, let us know, man. Much, much love. Also, I just did a video the 23rd of May, actually an incident that's occurred that Cessna was flying in the airspace in DCA, and it was crazy because he almost got shot down because he was not in contact. He didn't have special clearance to be in that area, so they already sent a helicopter to intercept, see what's going on. But luckily, a nearby plane had to contact him, and he actually responded to them. And because of that, the CRJ was about to make a landing, and he had to abort landing and whatnot. So I don't know what's going on with DCA, but there's a lot of craziness going on in DCA in terms of
I mean, your attention's pointed towards it. So like, what's crazy is we have, I mean, you know, I was based in DC for 7-8 years. Like, so it's not like that's unheard of. I mean, I've heard plenty of people getting intercepted over in DC's airspace because that whole, I think it's like a 50-mile ring from DCA, 50 miles. If you don't have a certain like operating certificate and X, Y, and Z like training,
Yeah.
you can't even go near that area. And so, yeah, I mean, we used to hear it all the time. The difference is now all eyes are on DC.
On DCA, yeah.
Yeah, so now you're going to hear everything that happens
That
in the DC area.
But the fact that it's happening so often that sadly that what happened with the CRJ a few months ago, that's very alarming. Right. Either way, it happens all the time, yes, but the risk of it happening even more in DCA is a lot. Because, for instance, like a place like Miami, we don't have that traffic in terms of helicopters and this flying or whatnot. But DCA, the attention is on it because there's a lot of stuff going on over there. That's very risky for other planes and other helicopters in that area. But thankfully, obviously in Miami, when we fly through Miami, I don't have to worry about seeing a helicopter out my window. So it's
right.
very, very strange to me in that sense. But Nate, how you doing, man? Say, you're landing in CL. Oh, actually, so you asked if you ever landed in ATL before. Oh, okay. But yeah, good to see you, Nate.
Hmm?
You still keep in contact with Nate?
Oh yeah, I keep in contact with all of you. Antonio, all of
them. Nice. Oh yeah, guys, if you guys want to ask more questions even off stream, feel free to go into the ask a pilot question in the Discord. Nick is always on there, man. I promise you. Even at 1 a.m., Nick is on there answering all type of questions. So
I'm probably more likely to be on it at 1 a.m.
I'm telling you, man.
You're such a night owl, dude.
Late nights at 1 or 2 a.m., I see Nick commenting. I'm like, oh my gosh, this guy never sleeps.
Dude, I'm a vampire, man.
I'm telling you.
I'm a nighttime guy. Yeah.
It's crazy. And Tony said, yeah, Northeast airspace is no joke. Boston to DCA is something else. Yeah. DC is a very interesting.
Well, DC is just a disaster on its own. You've got DCA, you've got Dulles, you've got, I mean, like, the military airspace there is crazy, too. So
would you say
which has always been a problem.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it's just that area's always been a problem, and it's always been congested.
Yeah. That's what
it's just one of those things that,
would you say
like, it's never happened before, but it was bound to happen, which is the unfortunate part of it.
That's the part I'm hearing about. Yeah, everybody's like, it happens so often, but that it was just bound to happen because it's so many close calls. It's sad. So Nick,
I went around plenty of times.
Yo, wow, really? Wow.
Oh yeah.
Lucky Ruby said, Nick, have you ever landed at ATL?
Oh, all the time, man. I used to go to Atlanta a lot.
Nice.
I still do occasionally, just not as often as I used to.
Question: is Atlanta airspace as busy as the airport? Because that airport is horrible. Is it as busy, like hard to get into, or is it better hard to come into?
Atlanta's a weird one. Atlanta is arguably the busiest airspace in the world, but they run it really well. And so because all of their runways are parallel and they have like the loops, like Victor Loop, so it's basically you don't have to cross a runway. I don't know why every airport doesn't have this. If you look at the taxi charts, you land on one of the runways, one of the outboard runways, because they take off on the inboard, they land on the outboard. Well, then to taxi to your gate, for example, there's the Victor Loop, and I think there's a Whiskey Loop on the other side. And so you don't have to cross a runway, whereas like Chicago, O'Hare, you land on the outside, but to come to the inside, you're crossing 2-3 runways. And so even though Atlanta's quote-unquote busier, they run it smoother. There's less communication. Like you don't have to talk as much. Whereas like Chicago O'Hare, I could land there and not be to the gate for an hour. And it's so much talking. And there's so many taxiways. And all the runways cross each other. And you've got to cross runways to get back to home. So like, you know, Atlanta, I would fly into Atlanta 10 times before I flew into Chicago O'Hare twice.
So Chicago's the worst.
It's tough, man. I mean, it's just, you know, it's busy, yes. But then once you land, you're like, here we go. Like, you better have a pen and paper ready.
Wow. That's crazy, man. Yeah, no, Chicago's very, very super busy. We're talking about runway, like collisions, but let's talk about runway collisions because even 2 weeks ago there was a close call on the runway. I think it was in New York City. This plane, I don't know the logistics behind it, but he was cleared and there was somebody else crossing. The usual happens all the time, but how do you prevent that? I know some people blame ATC, some people blame the pilot, but at that point, how do you prevent that? Also, there's a rise in wingtip touches. Basically, the airplane is past another airplane, and and that's multi-million-dollar worth of equipment. So everyone has to get off. They have to be fixed. The plane is out of commission. So is that just pilot error for not seeing the plane being next to him? Because I don't think that's ATC fault because he's not driving the airplane. But I don't know. Let me know what you think.
Yeah. So, okay, there's a couple things happening there.
Yeah.
We are flying more now than we ever have. There are more planes moving in this moment than there ever was. And tomorrow there will be even more. So when you have that, you are bound. It's like if you have one car driving on a highway, probably okay. You have 100, a little more risky, and you have 1,000,000, way more risky. And so no matter how you slice it, the more planes that are moving equals more potential chances for risk. However, this is still the safest time we've ever had in aviation, period, ever, period, statistics. But when it comes to like runway incursions, that's everyone's, like, we're not pointing fingers. That's everyone's fault. Everyone needs to be on the lookout. LaGuardia is a really tough one, man, because that runway crosses each other. So you can only land and launch one at a time, but you have to do it very coordinated. So if you watch like live radar, or more specifically, if you're on the ground watching them, you're like, how do you orchestrate this ballet? Because the runways perfectly intersect. They're like a 90-degree intersect. And so to launch one and land one and keep everything moving has to be timed so perfect. And man, it is. Like, they land, and the second they're about to cross the runway, boom, I'm cleared for takeoff. Well, as I'm cleared for takeoff, I look over on final, and I'm like, holy cow, man. Like, if we have to abort a landing, like, this is going to get really hairy really quick.
Oh, boy.
So LaGuardia is another one of those places, man, where you're like, keep an eye on it. Like, it has a ton of traffic, and they just expanded it as far as gate space. But the thing is, they didn't make the runways longer. They didn't add a runway. So all they did was pack in more traffic to an already congested area. So at some point, LaGuardia is just a hot spot. That's all it is. It's just a big hot spot.
Oh,
and so everyone's got to be on their game. Everyone's got to be watching for everyone. And unfortunately, it's bound to make the news more often.
Yeah.
In minor ways. I'm not saying like a major catastrophe, because they do a great job on that. But like, well, I mean, I think it was a couple weeks ago, or no, a couple months ago, I did a go around in LaGuardia. Remember? Delta wouldn't get off the runway. So like, it's just everything goes. Excuse me. Everything goes so quick in LaGuardia. Now, as far as like the wingtips, that's a really tough one, man. And I'll be very honest with you. I told you I was. We can't see the depths out there. So like on CRJs, ERJs, 7.3s, like anything up to like 7.8s, 350s, things like that. Like we don't have cameras out there, man, which is crazy, because I'm like, I have it on my car, you know, I have it on a $60,000 truck, but we don't have it on a $600 million plane. So it is crazy. I'm like, put a camera on the tail. Exactly. But you wouldn't believe, like, if you look at DC, I go back to that analogy a lot just because it's based there for so long. But like, go to DC and look at runway 1 and 19, and there's these little pads right next to the runways, and they used to tell us like, snuggle up. And so what they meant was like, you're number 3 for departure, so we're going to taxi you out to the runway, but then you're going to go into this little holding pad, and they pack us in there as tight as you can. Well, here's the thing, dude. I can't see all the way out there. So like, when I'm quote unquote snuggling up to a CRJ, I'm like kind of eyeballing this thing. So unfortunately, you know, knock on wood, I never hit anything, but like, they do want you to be as close as possible. Yeah. They will make fun of you if you're too far away. And so like, because they've got to pack, you know, 2, 3, 4 planes in there. And if you're 60 feet off that guy, they're going to be like, dude, what are you doing? And so you're kind of like pressing that limitation of like, I don't really want to get closer than this, but if I do, am I going to hit? I don't think so. But like, I can't see past my wing out there.
Wow. That's something I never really thought about, because you guys don't have like rear view mirrors or blind spot mirrors. You can look back and just see how far your wing is from a certain stuff. Like, that's very interesting. I think, as you said, they should at least add a camera or something, thinking with all the technology. That's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Lucky basically had the same question that I'm asking. He said, Nick, how do we have more airplanes than yesterday? My question was, when do airports say no to more airplanes? Because, for instance, like, is there ever a time where airports say, yo, we have too much planes coming in today, too much plane coming in. So how do they do that?
Yeah, I remember my diversion like
Yeah.
2 months ago was because of
Uh,
that. It was aircraft saturation. So
uh,
every plane that takes off, whether you know about it or not, like they're all filed for certain times. And if that time, like that time slot has to coincide with all these other planes that are also coming in at the same time. And so they're spacing them out by, mere seconds. But those seconds, once everyone takes off and actually starts flying, you got to keep spacing things out and go, okay, wait, hold on. You're flying way, we get this all the time. We fly way too fast. And so they're slowing us down. They're vectoring us. They're giving us headings. Well, then sometimes weather rolls in, which was the case in my last diversion. I was going into Florida and weather rolled in. Well, all these planes all of a sudden were supposed to land at, 120 Zulu, 120-30 Zulu, 121 Zulu, 121-30 Zulu. All of a sudden, they can't land during those times. So now we're holding. All of a sudden, we're running low on fuel. Now we're diverting. So, yeah, like LaGuardia is not going to permit a plane to take off and come towards LaGuardia unless they think at that estimated time of arrival they can handle that plane. But the thing is, we also have to push that a little bit. Otherwise, we'll never get passengers to where they need to go. So there's that fine balance that they run into where they're like, okay, I think we can take 300 planes this hour. Well, if all of a sudden that's like, oh, we could have done more. Okay, up it to 350 next hour. And then all of a sudden they're like, no, we could have done more. Up it to 400. Whoa, that was too much. Back it back down. So we're just trying to constantly find where that number is. But like I said, the thing is, you have to push that a little bit, because if you're too conservative, man, you just cost the company millions of dollars.
wow.
And that's, I mean, you got to think about the GDP of our country. Like, we move people to where they need to go. Like, we are a huge moneymaker.
Huge.
Just as a whole. That's not including all the packages that we carry.
Oh my goodness. Yeah,
Right.
Amazon Prime and all UPS and everything. Yeah.
I mean, not just that, but like the other day I was carrying boxes of lobster, dude. Like,
Oh my gosh.
I'm carrying because I came in from the East Coast. So like, I'm picking up a bunch of live lobsters from the East Coast. I'm flying them back to Denver because there's some sushi place or some upscale seafood restaurant that needs them. Well, if I can't get in, now they've got problems.
Yep, that's true. That is true. The service is very, very needed indeed. Crazy stuff, man. But yeah, I never thought that. That was a good question, by the way, Lucky. But yeah, the next question would be, basically, let's say you have an airline and you are the CEO of your airline. So what improvements would you like to see in aviation protocols to prevent future emergencies? I'm guessing emergencies not like engine failures, because obviously these happen and you have no control over them. But the safety protocols, like, would you have a cap on how many airplanes you would like have come into a specific like a airport or something, to make sure that there's not too much congestion? Or what safety procedures? Good to see you, Mishi. Welcome to the stream. Hope you have a wonderful evening. But yeah, so what would you do? What would you implement? Would like to see change? Like, for instance, we mentioned that you can't see the wingtip on your airline. Would you add some sort of cameras to your airplane so you can actually see the wings, or what would you do?
Yeah, 100%. I'm looking at what is the safest for, my crew members, what's the safest for my passengers, what's the safest for my ground crew. Like, dude, the unsung heroes, like, we don't talk about our ground crew very often, but like, I'm not going anywhere without them. I'm not stacking bags without them. I'm not getting fuel without them. And so like, we do a lot of things to try to keep them safe. And like myself specifically, like, I'm never taxiing into the gate with both engines running, period. Unless there was some kind of emergency reason for it, because I'm just trying to mitigate those risks. So like, if I'm a CEO, my biggest thing is I'm taking care of my people. I'm taking care of my flight attendants, my pilots, my ground crew, my mechanics. They're going to be the best taken care of people in the company, of any company, because they will then take care of your passengers. And that's what makes you money. And so no matter what it is, I don't have to worry about how many planes are coming into X place if they're not operated at the safest that they can possibly be operated. And then I'm going to rely on them to tell me, hey man, you are packing Oakland way too much. Cool, let's back it down. So I'm listening then to my people, and if they tell me, dude, we need X, Y, and Z to make us safer, got it, let's do it. And I don't care if it's going to hit the bottom line. I don't care if we take a loss this year, because that will then in turn make next year a better year. And in time, we're going to be the best airline out there.
I like that. That is very good. Maybe we gotta vote for Nick for his own airline or something. I like that. Some airlines, all they care about is pushing, generating money, but safety is very also important. That's why I like airlines like Southwest. They care about safety a lot. Yep. And for instance, I think Delta, American Airlines also. But yeah, that's awesome. It's good to know. So what steps are taken to prevent runway? Okay, already said that. How do you? Okay, I think you answered that a long time ago. But basically, how do pilots handle medical emergencies on board, such as the cardiac arrest on severe injuries? Because I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, there's a story about a plane that had somebody having a cardiac arrest. Luckily, there's a doctor on board that saved that person's life. But basically, if you can just run down generally, how do you deal with somebody? Let's say they're having a heart attack. What do? Do you go to the nearest airport? I know you always have an alternate airport, but what if the alternate airport is too far? Do you just tune in to the nearest airport, tell them you have a medical emergency, or do you land at the airport that has the best, like a cardiac facility or something, in nearby? What would you do?
Yeah, those are really good questions. So we actually don't always have an alternate airport. It just kind of depends on the weather. But we as pilots are always looking at what our options are. And so there's a difference between nearest and nearest suitable airport. And so if it's something big like that, it's a cardiac event, well, first of all, our flight attendants are definitely there for medical emergencies. And then we do have a thing called Stat MD.
Yeah, I heard it.
And so a flight actually can operate like defibrillators and do all sorts of crazy stuff back there that we don't even know that they can do. But they have a whole box of goodies back there to deal with medical emergencies. And then number two, I've never actually been on a flight where we didn't have a doctor. Anytime I've ever had a medical emergency, we have, it's just coincidence, but I've never not
That's amazing.
Yep, I've never not had a paramedic or a doctor or a nurse or many of them. Like I remember one time I had a medical emergency and they asked, is there a doctor on board? And it was like 22 hands went up when they were like, man, just a flying hospital right now. So luckily we do have a lot of them that fly. But we have a thing called Stat MD, and I can call them on the radios and just say, hey, here's what's happening. And then they're going to help us with where's the best place to go. And like you said, if it's something like cardiac, do we need to, instead of landing in Bowling Green, Kentucky, even if it's closer, Nashville is a better place as far as services. So for the extra 2 minutes it's going to take, one of them is actually a better option. So we're going to kind of weigh that out.
Understood. Got you. For instance, like Antonio is going to be a pilot soon. For his studies coming up, let's say that he's wondering if there is any medical field, like medical study during his studies to be a pilot. For instance, I know that flight attendants, you have to at least know the basics, the CPR and those things. Do pilots have to study these things before becoming a pilot? I know most likely the flight attendants in the back will do most jobs, but there's been instances where the pilot himself, a co-pilot, sadly has got incapacitated, fainted, not feeling too well. Do the pilot himself have to know the basics of reviving someone or CPR or stuff like that?
No, man, because my main thing is I'm gonna fly the plane, and so I'm no good to anyone if I'm down on the floor doing CPR. So we delegate that
to someone
else.
And
so even though I make it a point for myself to know CPR, that's just kind of like self-study, or I myself make it a point to know, stroke and all these other things like that. It's just helpful because we are around people so often. So I just kind of put that on myself. But good. I'm no good if my pilot I'm flying with passes out. I'm delegating that because I'm flying aviate, navigate, communicate. I'm following that in that order. I need to fly the plane, and so I'm going to put that person, see if someone can come grab him, maybe give him medical help, get me someone else up here, whether that's a flight attendant or dude, honestly, if I knew you were on my plane, you'd be a good option. I'd pull that guy up here because awesome. Legitimately, you've flown the plane in the sim. I'm gonna someone like that to help me get this plane there. Odds are there's another, I'm gonna get a flight attendant up there or someone else who's maybe type rated on the plane. But as far as medical emergencies, that the pilots aren't really in that realm because we have other things going on at that point.
Definitely. Good answer. Antonio said he said he's CPR certified. Nice. Certified. He said so I need to do CPR. Oh, okay, got you. So if I need to do CPR, good, awesome, Antonio. That's always a good thing to people to have. Not only if you're going to be a pilot or maybe you're going to be a firefighter, just good to know that you know how to do CPR correctly. It's always good. Antonio, you're going to college soon, man. Going to be a pilot. Any questions for Captain Nick as you start this journey, man? Wish you all the best. You know your graduation is probably coming up soon. I think, when's your graduation? I think you said sometime this month or early next month. But let us know, man. Much love to you once again. Oh, once again, thank you so much to Captain Nick for being on once again. I'm probably going to have 2 more questions. Going to see if Antonio have any other questions for you. And then in the meantime, we're just about to land here in Burbank. Basically, I looked up for this flight. I looked up the best flights or one of the known flights that Southwest takes. And it told me to go from Oakland to Burbank. Have you ever flown into Burbank before?
About 1 billion times, man. Burbank is one of those. Yeah, Burbank's one of those ones, dude. So that's legitimately, that's one of those ones that I'm like, watch for it, because Burbank is, unfortunately, it's a very small runway. See, and this is the one that blows my mind. When people are like, you remember that plane that went down not long ago and it skidded off the runway and then it hit like a wall?
Yeah.
And people are like, oh my God, I can't believe that in other countries there's walls at the end of the runways. And I'm like, you don't fly in America much, do you? Because almost every one of our runways, including Burbank, has a wall at the end of the runway. And so Burbank's another one of those runways, man, where like if you're not on your A game, you need to just go somewhere else. And then not just that, but like you're going to land on, what is it, runway 8?
Yeah.
So like when you land there, all these planes are pushing off your right side. So what's to say that some Gulfstream lands there and blows a tire on the right side and all of a sudden veers over to where we're pushing? There's no room, man. So I'm glad that they're building that new terminal over on the left side of the runway.
Oh, they are.
Yeah, it's coming along really fast. So like, because Burbank is it's another hotspot airport, and like, I've had people before when I've flown into Burbank, and they're like, "Dude, I'm just not feeling on my game right now." And I'm like, "Okay, I'll take this one. I'll take this flight." Wow. You know, it's just we always are assessing each other, trying to make sure we're good to go. But
for sure,
yeah, Burbank's one of those ones, dude, where you better be on your game and ready to go.
Wow, nice. Yep. Let me see. Antonio said he got awesome. Thank you so much, Captain. Captain said, Antonio said got his finals next week. I'm pretty sure, pretty much done. Awesome. Max Levinson just spotted a landing in the MD-11. Also, he wanted to let you know that he's flying the MD-11 in a Southwest livery. So
nice.
Very interesting one there.
Favorite Southwest plane.
Is there Tyler Zigama? Good to see you, man. A question, the last question I could probably ask you right now. I have a video that's going viral right now on YouTube that's basically, it was a pilot coming into New York JFK, and he was dealing with multiple injuries. So I made a documentary about him, saying that basically he did a great job. Everyone loved the video, but basically multiple failures. He dealt with engine failure and hydraulics failure. So a lot of stuff going on. I wanted to know if you ever dealt with something like that, multiple things happening. And everyone said that, yes, he was flying an Airbus A340, so thankfully he had 4 engines and only one went, so he had 3 more. But either way, everyone's saying, man, most of the comments saying, yeah, pilots have it rough sometimes, because imagine dealing with an engine failure, you have to run checklists, and then having another hydraulic failure, you have to run checklists for that one. So that was very hectic. Good to see you. George said, he said, hello, Captain Nick. Shout out to you, George. So in that situation, have you ever been in that situation? And in that situation, how does it look in the cockpit? Is it chaos? How do you handle it?
Yeah, so the thing with planes is one system is generally somehow tied to another. And so I have had an emergency before where we have on the 175 when I used to fly, we have essentially like, it's so technologically advanced, it has like 2 brains. Well, one of the 2 brains went out.
Wow.
Well, that one brain, called an SBDA, but like it doesn't matter. But like when that one brain went out, it controls half of everything on that plane. And so all of a sudden, yeah, you do start to really limit yourself. You know, it's like, okay, the hydraulics are still working, but they're going to come out slow. The flaps are going to work, but they're going to come out way slower. The gear may not come down the normal way. Now you're going to pull it manually. So it's like, it's not just one problem. It's like that one problem all of a sudden led to 30 different mini problems that you're trying to fight all at the same time. And so Southwest does a really good job specifically of, we have a thing called MADAM. It's maintain aircraft control, analyze the situation, take the appropriate action, maintain situational awareness. And then we just go right back to the top and run it again. And so any emergency that happens, it's like, all right, stop, take a breath, analyze what just happened. Always someone needs to be flying the plane, because that's actually been the biggest killer before. Is something little happened and everyone's trying to work on the problem.
Yes.
Who's flying the plane? And the answer was no one.
Oh my.
And so like that American Airlines that was going into Miami that crashed in the Everglades, that was a stupid light bulb. But all three, and yes, there was 3 pilots up there, all 3 of them were focused on the light bulb. And it just started a 200-300 foot per minute descent. No one caught it. And then they crashed in the Everglades. So it's like, I always make sure it's like, okay, you run the problem, I'm flying the plane, or vice versa. And if I see that they're starting to run the problem with me, I'm like, nope, okay, I will take over. I'm flying the plane, you run the problem.
Wow.
And so, but unfortunately, like with what you're saying, we generally, it's not an isolated incident. Like when something does happen, which remember, we train every year for the worst of the worst. But when something does happen, yeah, of course, it'll catch you off guard. So you got to take a minute, compose yourself. And then even when it does catch you off guard, it's like, okay, take this step by step. What's the most important thing right now? Well, we just lost an engine. Okay, figure that out. Okay, now what's the next most important thing? Well, that was messing with hydraulic A, and that does the landing gear. Okay, then just do that problem now. And so you really have to piece it, because like you're not going to park a jet at 35,000 feet. Like you really have to work with it in the time that you're given.
Wow. Great. Absolutely amazing answer. Thank you so much for mentioning that flight in the Everglades, because I think I might do a video on that tomorrow. And Brian said he remembered that also was a Lockheed 1011. That plane was?
Yeah, L1011, I think. And it was just something so dumb, man. Like we have lights and we can pull them out. I do it all the time. You pull it out, change the little light bulb, put it back in. And all it was all you had to do was pull the light out, maybe test it, replace it with a different light bulb, and they'd have been good to go. Or even, you know what? Fly by the tower and go, hey, dude, do you see our landing gear out? Yeah. Cool. We're good. But instead, well, suckered in. And that's the thing. Like, all these crashes, they don't have one event. They have 20 little events that led to the one problem happening. And so what we focus on is, how do I break that chain? Because if I could have said, hey, you know what? The 2 of us are going to work this problem. Your whole job on life right now is fly the plane. Keep it in the sky. That accident never would have happened. So we're learning better on how to delegate and how to play as a team. You know, because like back in the day, it was just a bunch of, you know, ace hotshot pilots who were like, I want to be the hero today. Nah, dude. Like we work as a team. We all have a job to play. Even if you're the one just getting us waters, like you are playing an important, vital role at this point because you're keeping us hydrated. Whatever it takes, I'm back on the ground.
Very, very true. Awesome, amazing answer, man. I think Master Levis said, I think it was Eastern Airlines. Was it Eastern Airlines, or was it?
Yeah, that sounds right. I'm not quite sure. I just know like the actual.
So those incidents, are those mentioned in pilot school when you guys are learning in aviation school? Like talk about like different crashes that happened in the past and what to look out for and what not to do. I would assume that like they talk about situations like that. No.
Oh yeah, and what's really sad is like, so we have access to like the black boxes. Like we have access to stuff that like the general public doesn't. It's like, unfortunately, and I tell Shana this every year, I'm like, the hardest part of this sim was like listening to the black box because like it really puts it in a perspective. Like it's one thing to hear about it, but it's still kind of a far from your bedside, if you will. But like to be in the cockpit with these guys, you know, we have videos where it's like you're in the cockpit with them, and holy cow, man, it's sobering. And because you can hear their actual voices, you can see their actual movements.
Wow.
And you really like get a sense of like the chaos that happens in there, even if it's slow chaos. And yeah, we talk about them all the time. And we listen to the actual black boxes, and you know, we watch videos and we just dissect it, and we're like, what happened here? What could he have done or she have done to change this outcome? And like I said, man, most of the time it's not one thing. It's they were in an argument with their spouse.
Wow.
Why'd you come to work? Or, man, I didn't get a lot of sleep last night. Why didn't you call in fatigued? So like we're trying to really cut down on that aspect of it, where the 30 things that led up to this one moment, like that one going into like Cuba, I think that was an American too. That crashed into the top of the mountain. Holy cow. there was 50 events that happened that led to that.
Wow.
We could have just cut the chain somewhere. Never would have happened.
Wow. That is so true. So super, super, super true. Shout out to Antonio, man. Antonio, I know for sure this has been amazing for you, man, because I know you're excited about being a pilot pretty soon. So thank you so much to Captain Nick for being on tonight, man. As Antonio just said, aviation is all about teamwork. That is 100% true. Speaking like a true future pilot, man. Love it, love it, love it. Norfolk, welcome to the stream, man. How you doing, man? Hope you're having a wonderful evening. But yeah, Captain Nick, anything else you would like to say to the group before we go, man? Thank you so much for being on. Much love.
Yeah. Yep. Thanks for having me, man. And Antonio's gonna be one of the best pilots out there. Undeniably, he's very smart. And anyone who's got questions, I do, like I said, I am on the Discord, not at regular times, but like that Ask a Pilot thing. I love fielding questions, man. And like it may be 1 in the morning, but tag me and I'll just get into them. And
it's great because I'm telling you, growing up, I didn't have access to like pilots like that to ask questions, like simple questions like about airplanes or just to pique your interest into aviation. So now that they actually have someone that like you, awesome guy, to talk to and figure some stuff out, that's awesome, man. So thank you so much for what you do, man. Appreciate that so much.
Hey, congratulations again, buddy. Tell Mary they love her. And,
I will indeed.
Come up with your kids soon.
Awesome. Thank you so much, man. Looking forward to being a father, man. But shout out to everyone in the chat, man. We'll be back tomorrow night with an awesome flight. Let me know if you guys have any flights in mind. Let me know in the Discord right now. Much love. But shout out to Brian. Shout out to Antonio. Antonio said about to get my medical soon, so wish me luck. Awesome,
nice.
Man. Good luck, man. You got this, bro. Shout out to Antonio. Shout out to Norfolk. Shout out to Brian. Master 11, always good flying with you, man. Much love. George, a.k.a. Judge. Actually, George is actually getting his hours up right now. He's in the plane every day in the skies, building these hours. Man, he's been showing me pictures about before the flight, and he's trying to work his way up to the airline. So hopefully maybe you and Tony and George are going to be flying soon, so flying together soon.
He's got my cell phone number, so
yes,
call me if you have anything.
Yeah, so I can't wait till he hops on. I asked him his preference. He said between American or Southwest. So let's see. Let's see. It doesn't matter where he ends up. As long as he's flying, he says so.
That's right, man. That's how we all feel. That's a good motto to have.
Yep. But yeah, man, appreciate you so much for hopping on once again, Captain Nick. Appreciate you so much for spending time here. Shout out to your awesome wife. Tell her we say hello, and we appreciate her so much.
She's waving at you.
All right. Have a good night, everyone. See you guys tomorrow night. Man, love you too, man. Hope you guys have a great evening. One love, much love, and God bless. Peace. Have a good night, everyone. All right.
Contact Tower 119.9. Have a good night.
Family here at Pegasus Airlines wishes you a pleasant flight.